서치타임즈 김효정입니다. 앞으로 임신 14주 이내에는 낙태가 허용될 것으로 보입니다. 이 같은 내용을 담은 형법 모자보건법 개정안을 정부가 7일 입법 예고한다고 밝혔는데요. 기존처럼 낙태죄는 그대로 유지한다 이렇게 또 말장난을 하고 있지만 사실 낙태가 임신 후 12주 이내에 95% 이상이 이뤄지는 것을 감안하면 14주 이내를 언급하는 것은 사실상 모든 낙태를 허용하겠다는 것으로 보인다 이렇게 비판하는 목소리가 큽니다. 이번 개정안은 헌법재판소가 지난해 4월 임신 초기에 낙태까지 처벌하도록 한 형법상 낙태죄가 인부의 자기결정권을 과도하게 침해해서 위헌이라면서 올해 말까지 관련 법조항을 개정하라는 헌법 불합치 결정을 내린 데 따른 후속 조치입니다. 임신 6주가 되면 심장이 뛰는 소리를 들을 수 있고 팔다리도 나온다고 합니다. 특히 8주 이후로는 뇌 기능의 대부분이 완성되고 촉감을 또 느끼면서 12주의 태아는 모든 장기들을 갖춘 사람의 모습이 된다고 합니다. 현재도 한국은 OECD 주요 국가들 가운데 1000명당 낙태 건수가 20명으로 최고율을 보이고 있습니다. 한국 다음으로 높은 프랑스의 15명보다도 훨씬 높으며 7.2명을 기록하고 있는 독일에 비해서는 3배가량 높습니다. 그런데 전면적인 낙태를 허용한다면 태아 사례의 증가는 불문가지다. 이렇게 언론회는 비판하고 있습니다. 성산윤리연구소가 지난해 모든 낙태가 허용될 경우 우려되는 점을 조사를 했는데 33.8%가 무분별한 낙태 증가, 17%가 청소년의 임신 증가, 15%가 낙태 강요 증가, 13.4%가 원치 않는 임신 증가가 될 것이라고 답했습니다. 부작용이 많을 수밖에 없다는 거죠. 낙태를 주장하는 사람들은 태아의 생명 존중보다는 여성의 결정권과 행복 추구권을 말하는데요. 강간 등으로 인해서 원치 않는 임신의 경우는 어떡하냐 이런 목소리도 있을 텐데 현행 모자보건법은 강간 또는 준강간으로 인한 임신의 경우 24주 이내 인공임신 중절, 즉 낙태를 허용한다고 명시하고 있습니다. 법은 우리 사회의 하부체계인데 법이 모든 것을 장악하고 심지어 생명에 대한 결정권마저 갖는다면 이는 하위 개념인 법이 상부 개념인 양심의 자유, 생명의 존엄과 가치를 능가해서 사회 질서를 무너뜨리는 것이 되고 말 것이다. 우려하고 있는 겁니다. 생명의 시작은 인위적으로 기간을 정해서도 안 될 것이며 수정과 함께 이미 생명으로 인정하는 인식 전환이 필요합니다. 우리 자신들도 수정으로부터 시작해서 한 생명으로 이 땅에 태어났고 또 우리를 구원하신 예수님도 태아로부터 시작하여 이 땅에 오셨음을 잊지 말아야 한다. 이런 목소리도 있네요. 영상을 하나 준비했습니다. 함께 시청하시고 낙태에 대해서 함께 기도할 수 있는 시간 됐으면 좋겠습니다. 서치타임즈 김효정이었습니다.
Dr. Levatino is a board-certified obstetrician gynecologist. Over the course of his career, Dr. Levatino has practiced obstetrics and gynecology in both private and university settings, including as an associate professor of OB/GYN at the Albany Medical College.
Second trimester D&E abortions performed between roughly 14 and 24 weeks of gestation. Your patient today is 17 years old. She's 22 weeks pregnant. Her baby is the length of your hand plus a couple of inches. And she's been feeling her baby kick for the last several weeks, but she's asleep on an operating room table. You walk into that operating room scrubbed and gowned, and after removing laminaria, you introduce a suction catheter into the uterus. This is a 14 French suction catheter. If she were 12 weeks pregnant or less, basically the width of your hand or smaller, you could basically do the entire procedure with this. But babies this big don't fit through catheters this size. After suctioning the amniotic fluid out from around the baby, you introduce an instrument called a Sofer clamp. It's about 13 inches long. It's made of stainless steel. The business end of this clamp is about 2.5 inches long and a half-inch wide. There are rows of sharp teeth. This is a grasping instrument. When it gets a hold of something, it does not let go. A D&E procedure is a blind abortion, so picture yourself introducing this and grabbing anything you can blindly and pull, and I do mean hard, and out pops a leg about that big, which you put down on the table next to you. Reach in again, and pull out an arm about the same length, which you put down on the table next to you. And use this instrument again and again to tear out the spine, the intestines, the heart and lungs. Head on the baby that size is about the size of a large plum. Can't see it, but you pretty good idea you've got it if you've got your instrument around something and your fingers are spread about as far as they go. You know you did it right if you crush down on the instrument and white material runs out of the cervix. That was the baby's brains. Then you could pull out skull pieces. And you have a day like I had a lot of times, sometimes a little face comes back and stares back at you. Congratulations, you just successfully performed a second trimester D&E abortion. You just affirmed her right to choose.
One more question, Dr. Levatino. Why did you end your practice of doing abortions?
I did over 1,200 abortions over a 4-year period in private practice, not counting the ones that I did during my training. I met my wife during my first year of training at Albany Medical Center. We got married about a year later and found that we had an infertility problem. After years of failed infertility treatment and several years trying to adopt a child, we were blessed with adopting a little girl that we named Heather in August of 1978. As sometimes happens in those situations, my wife got pregnant the very next month, and we had 2 children 10 months apart. 2 months short of my daughter Heather's 6th birthday, she was killed in an auto accident and literally died in her arms in the back of an ambulance. Anyone who has children might think they have some idea of what that feels like, but unless you've been through it yourself, you have no idea whatsoever. I know people find it hard to believe, but what do you do after disaster? You bury your child and then you go back to your life. And I don't remember exactly how long it was after my daughter died that I showed up at Albany Medical Center OR number 9 to perform my first second trimester D&E abortion. I wasn't thinking of it as anything special. This was routine to me. But I reached in, literally pulled out an arm or leg and got sick. You know, earlier on I described stacking up body parts on the side of the table. It's not to, gross people out, to use a simple term. When you do an abortion, you need to keep inventory. You have to make sure you get 2 arms and 2 legs and all the pieces. If you don't, your patient's going to come back infected, bleeding, or dead. So I soldiered on and finished that abortion. And I know it sounds, as I said, hard for people to believe, but I'm telling you straight up my experience. You know, after over 1,200 abortions, first and second trimester up to 24 weeks and all the rest of it, and being very dedicated to it, for the first time in my life, I really looked at that pile of body parts on the side of the table. And I didn't see her wonderful right to choose, and I didn't see all the money I just made. All I could see was somebody's son or daughter. And I stopped doing late-term abortions after that, and several months later stopped doing all abortions.
There's still a question. Thank you.